Hello everyone, we are here today to play Hollow Knight Silksong. Right now I'm just going to get a file started up, and we are going to see what it has in store for us. Unfortunately, I do not have my stream audio recorded, so this is all voiceover. Reading the text, it says, "They see your beauty, so frail and fine. They see your peace, woven of faith and toil. They forget your heart, bound in slumber and servitude. When you wake, they shall see your truth, a beast's nature to all." From Farloom's Folly, by the conductor Romano. And now we have a great opening cutscene, just as pictured in the trailers. Man, the animation's so cool. I love the little cutscenes in Hollow Knight. Looks like we have some Hollow Knight-esque seals on Hornet's cage. And look at that, we're entering Farloom now. I'm not exactly sure how that'll break the seals, but I guess we'll find out later. So dope. Act 1. Farloom. Now, Hornet being on the ground shows that she's like mortal, so I thought that was cool. I like the healing mechanics being shown here. It heals 3 masks at once at the cost of a full silk gauge. And over here, I'm just getting used to mechanics, moving around, how she attacks and whatnot. And I'm liking it. I'm loving it, actually. And over here, I discover our first little secret, which is a little corpse that gives us shell shards, which honestly I thought were the currency of the game. Over here, just doing a little bit more tomfoolery, getting used to movement before I move on to the next room. And I don't know why I'm swinging in that direction, but hey, we ball. Moving into the next room, we have the introduction of Moss Grotto. I love the ambiance, the atmosphere. It's very much Green Path-esque, which is a really, really nice area in the first game. So I'm glad Team Cherry built on that and made it a little brighter. Now we're moving on to our first platforming, quote-unquote, section of the game. I'm seeing if the water hurts me. And we're just jumping around and figuring out, again, how Hornet moves and whatnot. Got a few jump cuts in there just to save a little bit of time. Moving forward, I'm just trying to get used to the little pogo mechanic. The 45-degree angle is really throwing me off on this. As you can see, I kind of messed around with it a little bit more here. This isn't really something I got used to right away, as you can see. Since Hornet doesn't do the downward slash at the full height of her jump, it stops just short. And up top, on that big platform, I climbed back around, went up top here, and got the first mossberry, which I thought was some sort of collectible or even power-up of some sorts. So I was happy to be collecting those. And now we have Hornet's first week session, I suppose you could say, where she is clearly going through it. I was unsure of what to do here. I thought I was just going to be stuck like this until the next room, but eventually it'll clear up after screen gets real dark like this. Climbing up on this room, where I got the little weakness, I looked down and I found my first form of currency in the game in the form of a frayed rosary string. And this area just straight up leads back to the start. So I just climb back up and move on. Next room has us just running around, hitting some enemies, platforming up to the top. So that's exactly what I ended up doing. I had to heal there for a second because I was pretty low on health. But starting the ascent, we go up, and then we end up discovering this mysterious looking door with what looks like a weaver mask. I don't know why, but I thought hitting it would help. And eventually I get bored of that, move forward, and I find a mossberry just hanging up top. So I was unsure of what to do, but I ended up reloading the room, as you see here, and pulling a pro gamer move of luring the enemy close to me, where I can pogo off and then get the mossberry myself. Though unfortunately the enemy was hardly cooperating. The aggro was a little finicky, but we got there. There we go. There's a second mossberry of the game, and that's how you get it. I enter the next room, hit Hornet's next, I guess, episode of weakness. In the same room, we end up finding a bench, which I'll sit on momentarily, but at this point in the game, I'm absolutely loving it. I love the atmosphere. I can't say that enough. The music's amazing, and we're just going to climb up, hit a little bit of, not really platforming, just walking around the world, thinking there's a secret wall there. And I just tackle these vines and move on to the next room. This is where we run into our first formal boss of the game, Moss Mother. Thoughts entering it, I'm trying to analyze the attack pattern as best I can. I'm weaving in attacks where the boss is mostly stationary, and awfully failing at pogos. The easiest way to avoid her dive attack is obviously just hop over her. You can probably get in a pogo if you angle it right, which I'm not. And when she slams into the ceiling, she's going to drop either boulders or those little fuzzy moss caterpillar looking things. There we go, I landed a successful pogo. And now that she's staggered, I can get a few free hits in. I took unnecessary damage there, but such is the nature of the first boss. Eventually, after this struggle, the Moss Mother ends up going down. I love the slow-mos indicating the end of a fight, that way there is zero confusion. Moving forward into the next room, Hornet hits another spell of weakness, where eventually she'll pass out. I'm trying to jump in this scene, but I can't. And here I talk a little bit to the Chapel Maid, where she brings us our first great objective, the Great Citadel. Our job is to ascend through Farloom at the Kingdom's Peak and get to the Citadel of Song, as it's called. Once we've known our first objective, I just thought I'd include this clip because I thought it was absolutely amazing. Just passing through the Moss Grotto area, Bone Bottom area, and having all the little moss flies fly up, I thought that was really neat. And now we have entered Bone Bottom, a small little pilgrim settlement at the bottom of the kingdom. And it's a pretty sad and dreary looking place. Over here I love the music, so I decided to take a rest on the bench and honestly just take it all in. I end up entering the Bellway, as it's later known, and here I talk to a little fearful pilgrim. I eventually talk to the shopkeeper as well as the fixer, and move on to the next room, where we encounter the lovely, lovely Sherma. where he is very excited by my vigor in hitting the door. He's singing to the door to open it, so you know what that means. We gotta help the little guy go up and clear the door somehow. Once we've gotten up and platformed a little bit, fought a couple enemies, we enter our first wave room, or gauntlet as most people call it. Right here, these guys are beast flies. They just charge you head on. I wasn't thinking too much at this time. It wasn't that difficult. And these guys are just little walking guys. Not a big deal. Afterwards, a wave of 2 beast flies come in, and they're still not that difficult to deal with. Although I do get hit by just random contact damage. And then the big boy drops in, where he just charges at you. It's real simple to avoid. And we take him down without a sweat. With the 2 passageways open, we can finally hit the lever and let little Sherma through the gate. And now, speaking of Sherma, he really thinks that singing to the gate opened it. The next room we head into has a bench for 30 rosaries. I'm poor, so I spend pretty much all my money getting this bench. And I think it's pretty cool having these bells rise up from the ground. And now we have the formal introduction to the Marrow, the next area of the game. A honestly beautiful place with lava, magma everywhere, and the atmosphere is just incredible. Over here, I just fight another one of these guys, and I wanted to see how much damage lava did, so I did. I found out the hard way that it does 2 masks of damage, but such is learning. Over here, I found a metal structure that looks a little bit different from the rest of the area, and it leads to a traversal system that I haven't unlocked. I did a couple other random tasks, as you saw, dropped a metal crate for a shortcut, and then I found this sign with an almost plant-like looking thing on it, and I've run into this enemy, which irritated me a little bit, given it's invulnerable when the spikes are out. Eventually we get to the top where another sign is, and I talk to Mushka, and I promise him the Lost Fleas wish, where I have to save 5 fleas. I end up taking a rest on the bench and looking around a little bit, but ultimately that is where I call it.